Big news today from the Memorial Tournament. We told you a couple of weeks ago about Tiger Woods' commitment, and earlier this week, Jordan Spieth on board. Today, more major news from the Memorial, which tees off 1 week from today, including a guy by the name of Phil, who has decided that he is going to once again be at the Memorial Tournament. And to talk a little bit about that and preparations as we're 1 week away is Memorial Tournament Director Dan Sullivan. Dan, thanks for joining us. I imagine a good day for you. Anytime you can announce Phil Mickelson, Justin Rose, Louis Oosthuizen, and the field that you've compiled. This is, I know it's expected news, but nonetheless good news as well to have a guy like Phil Mickelson on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Matt. All these names keep on rolling off, which is tremendous for us. Nice testament to Jack and everyone at the Memorial Tournament in Muirfield Village for putting on the event the way we do. And, it feels like we have as much excitement going into tournament week as we've had in a long time. And I think that's because some of the more prominent names have played well in the early part of the season, so their name has been recognized by many. And then obviously when Tiger comes around and plays as well as he did in the beginning of the year, played with a number of the other players. Like he played with Rory in L.A., he played with Ricky down at the Players. And when he's playing with groups, there are other players that just elevates the prominence of those other players. So it's just a nice building block of excitement that we've had over the last couple of weeks. And by announcing Phil and Hideki and Justin and Louis, it just rounds out a great field. And in the end, we're going to have 8 out of 10 in the world and 8 out of 10 in the FedEx point standings right now.
Yeah. In terms of Phil Mickelson, and when you announced Tiger a couple weeks back, we talked a little bit about his impact. Is Phil like the number 2 draw still, or is it has it shifted to the younger guys? Like a Jordan Spieth. Like how significant is it to have Phil Mickelson in your tournament?
I think they're all significant. There's no doubt Tiger is the most prominent draw just by name alone. Tiger brings in the casual fan. The other guys do too, to a level. But I'd put them all in the same category between Phil and Rory and Jason and Justin and Dustin, Bubba, all these guys, Jordan, all these guys have a presence about them, and they're the leaders of the game. They have nice personalities. The unique thing about some of these younger guys, they get along great with each other, and they have really nice rapport with Phil and Tiger. So I wouldn't call it a love fest out there, but they definitely have a relationship that goes beyond the golf course, and I think that shows, and people respond well to that.
The international field that you have as well is always very good. Louis Oosthuizen coming. You mentioned you announced Henrik Stenson earlier this week. I didn't even realize he hadn't been here since 2013, and that's a little bit more, challenging, I guess, if you will, because, a lot of these guys have commitments overseas. How are you able to assemble the field of the international players like you do?
Well, it all comes down to where we're positioned on the calendar. So for instance, on Henrik, for years, his national open, the Swedish Open, was up against us. And so he always felt obligated to go back to the Swedish Open, and which we completely understood. The Swedish Open got moved to July, maybe August, which allowed him to open up his schedule for the U.S. Tour and gave us a chance to have him here. This next week, it's the Italian Open. So we're going to miss a couple players that we'd love to have here. Sergio would be playing here, or Tommy Fleetwood, or Alex Noren. So every week on tour, there is a conflicting event somewhere in the world. We're lucky enough to have an event that, first of all, the players love playing in. And it's positioned perfectly in the time of year that they want to be playing at their best. And we've got a great golf course and facility, and Jack Nicklaus, all that stuff rolls into every player around the world has an interest in playing this. And I think that's probably what we're most proud of when we're talking to these players. If they haven't been here, they absolutely hear great things about this golf tournament, golf course, the way the fans treat them, and they want to come. And the guys who have played here before all the time say they want to get back.
Visiting with Dan Sullivan, tournament director for the Memorial. First round coming up 1 week from today, Memorial Week, in terms of if you want to go out and look at practice rounds, starts like Monday, right? People can start showing up Memorial Day, right?
Yeah, Monday's a great day to come out on Memorial Day. We'll probably have about 20 players out here. We don't have a huge crowd, so you can get around really easy, and it's a fun time to bring out the family and see some of the players practicing on the range, and then they go out on the golf course. So it's a nice backdrop.
Interesting note in your release today where you announced these latest commitments, including Phil Mickelson, but also Hideki Matsuyama. You now have 13 former winners that are in this year's Memorial. When you consider Tiger's one of them, and he's won it 5 times, that's a lot of past success on this golf course. I don't know if you keep track of such things. Is that the most you've ever had at a tournament?
I think it's pretty close to the most, if not the most. And I will tell you, a couple of them needed exemptions, and we're always recognizing the past winners of the tournament. So Vijay Singh and Jim Furyk actually needed an exemption this year, as well as Ernie Els. Some big names needed exemptions. But Kenny Perry is coming back to play, and he hasn't played for 2 or 3 years. It just worked out well in his schedule. He loves this golf course, and because he won early on in the early 90s on the tournament, he has a lifetime exemption that he can come back and play whenever he wants. And so it's fun to see guys who had success here and really enjoyed being a part of this tournament coming back and paying their respects to Jack and the tournament itself and come back and play.
How much control do you have, and does the Memorial Tournament have, or is it the tour that decides who plays with who, the groupings that we're going to see for the first 2 rounds Thursday and Friday? Because I think of the Players' Championship, they had that monster grouping with Phil and Tiger and Ricky. It didn't work out very well for Phil or Ricky, for that matter.
Right.
But are we going to see like some sexy matchups like that? And do you guys decide that, or is that the tour?
Well, we definitely will see them. It's a part of the game now. Probably started about 5 or 6 years ago, where the tour recognized that if you're going to pair some of the more prominent players together on early rounds Thursday and Friday, it helps the tournament out in the local market because people want to be around those more prominent players, and it helps the television delivery audience that will pay attention. So you'll see 2 very prominent groups on Thursday afternoon in the primetime TV window, and then 2 very prominent groups on Friday. And as you know, they go early, late. So the guys who go late on Thursday will go early Friday, and vice versa. And there's a little formula to it that, without a doubt, the PGA Tour pays attention to. They recognize who has played together in the past. All these players are kind of slotted within the PGA Tour based on tenure, based on their accomplishments, based on their preferences, and they have a little math equation that they put together. And then they'll come to us and say, hey, do you have any special thoughts in mind? And we have a nice dialogue about it. In the end, we'll have a couple really good, as you can imagine, because of the field strength we have, some really good pairings on Thursday and Friday.
I was talking to my neighbor who's a big golf fan recently and talking about the Memorial Week, and he goes out every year. And he was talking about Wednesday and the Pro-Am, and it was after the announcement of Tiger, and then found out that Tiger was going to be playing with Peyton Manning and that thing. Has Wednesday for you as a tournament director become like a tournament day?
Bigger. It's the busiest day without a doubt for me and our staff, barring any kind of rain issues that we have Thursday through Sunday.
Right.
Building into Wednesday, we have just so much going on that day, and we really made a conscious effort a couple years ago to try to put as much into the day as we can. We know time is limited for folks, and they have work to do and family to be with and all that. So we really moved events that we've typically had on Tuesday and Wednesday into just Wednesday, and it's worked out great. We have nice big crowds on Wednesday, a lot going on, so there's something for everybody between the Pro-Am and our Military Day and our honoree ceremony and our junior clinic, as well as our youth day. All of that stuff gets rolled into Wednesday, and it turns out to be a huge crowd with a lot of fun going on. And I say this a lot, Wednesday for us is kind of like it's celebrating all that's good in the game. We're recognizing charity throughout the day. We're recognizing being a part of the community, entertaining kind of the youth aspect, getting them excited about the game, recognizing those who have served our country in the military, and it works out to be a really nice day that everyone enjoys. The players enjoy it. Jack and Barbara definitely enjoy it. The honoree enjoys seeing a nice big crowd out here, and I know the fans enjoy seeing all the activity.
Yeah, it should be a great week for you. How soon do you start paying attention to the weather? I haven't even
Now,
looked.
I looked at it this morning, which I need to stop looking at. Doesn't look very good about midweek next week. But that's all right. A lot can happen. Right?
A lot can happen, exactly.
Yeah.
Make one of those sacrifices to Chief Leather Lips, and it'll all be good.
You got it.
Hey, Dan, thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to being out there next week.
Thanks, Matt.